Hi, welcome to another video review. In this review, we are going to be reviewing the NZXT Lexa S mid-tower case. Note that the cold cathode lights that are glued onto the side panel are not included. Now, for a biography, the Lexa S is designed to offer gamers enhanced airflow to assist cooling of the internal hardware, good looks, and lots of different features which will be later covered in this review. The NZXT Lexa S is only available in black.
The chosen materials for this case are as follows. The main part of the case is made out of steel and the front bezel is made out of plastic. And the weight of this case is 7 kilograms and for the US 15 pounds. Let's concentrate more on the exterior. Looking at the front bezel now. It has a glossy black piano finish. This makes the case look nice, but there's couple things that I would have to gripe about it. Dust and fingerprints. I've had this case for a little over a year now and I have finally decided to do a review on it. Now, there is also a little bit of chrome down at the bottom here. There are 3 ambient lights that light up blue. And right here is the green hard drive activity LED. And down here is ventilation for the included 120 millimeter intake fan to intake cool air inside the case. Opening the door now is where you'll see 4 external 5¼ inch drive bays and a single 3½ inch external drive bay. To the left is your power button, and on the right is your reset button. There is a dual fan controller set up here, and each knob supports 2 fans. So basically making it support for 4 total fans. And, of course, the NZXT logo, which is a simple design which I really like. Alright, looking at the side of the front bezel, you can see 2 USB 2.0 ports, your microphone jack, headphone jack, and an external serial ATA 3 gigabit per second port. Now, let's get moving on to the left side of the case. Alright, looking at the left panel. Now you can see that there is a very large tinted side window. Now, with this window you can view all the hardware inside the case. And also take note that there is a included 120 millimeter blue LED case fan. This fan is set to intake cool air inside the case for additional cooling for the expansion cards in the system. Looking at the back of the case, you can see that there are 2 thumb screws on each side of the case. This is where your I/O shield plate goes. This is where you have a included 120 millimeter fan to exhaust warm air outside the case. And straight above that are 2 holes for liquid cooling tubes to pass through, or other cables. Down here are 7 expansion slots, and to the right is more ventilation. Down at the very bottom you can mount a standard ATX power supply to power your system. Alright, and also on the top there are 2 exhaust ports for either a 140 millimeter fan or a 120 millimeter fan. On the back is a included 140 millimeter exhaust fan exhausting hot air outside of the case. There's basically nothing much to talk about on the right side, so let's get going on to the interior. Now, looking at the interior of the case, there are 6 3½ inch internal drive bays for all the hard drives. There are 5 here and there's 1 here. Now, the bottom 5 here consist of a rail system, which these rails are included when you first buy this case. So basically, I'm going to show you how to put the hard drive in. So basically, 1 rail, 2 rails. Now all you need to do is find a spot, and of course it's working against me a little bit. That would help if I had both of the rails in the holes. So basically find a spot and then just push it in just like that. And if you want to go ahead and take the hard drive out, just push in the two levers and then pull the drive out, take the rails off, and you're basically all set to go. Alright, also look at cable management options. There are 3 holes with rubber grommets. Now, I really don't like these grommets all that much due to the fact they just waste the excess space that you can use to route cables. And they also pop out very easily when you go to route cables through. So, you do have the option of taking them out, which is definitely one thing I really appreciate. And you can see the little holes in the motherboard tray, which are for cable tie downs, such as zip ties, twisty ties, anything that you can tie cables down with. And over here is your CPU backplate hole. This is something very useful, especially if you are constantly changing CPU coolers out that require you to take the motherboard out. And on the bottom, you can fit a standard ATX power supply, and at the bottom there are 4 rubber feet for anti-vibration. Now, the maximum video card length for this case is about I would say no more than 11 inches. But I would definitely make sure that the video card connectors are facing right towards my camera. And for the power supply length, about a maximum of 11 inches to a quarter, I'm assuming. So, but I would not recommend getting a power supply that long, or else you won't be able to route your cables. And the motherboard support form factor for this case is micro ATX, standard ATX, and baby AT motherboards. Now, going to the back of the motherboard tray is where you will be able to do a lot of your cable management. Now, one thing that I have a gripe with is that there's only about half an inch between the motherboard tray and the right side panel. This can become an issue, seeing that with very thick cables, you will not be able to route them throughout the back. And after having all the cables routed, I find it a very big pain for putting the right side panel on, because I literally have to hug the case and then slide the right side panel shut. Alright, taking a quick look at the front panel connectors. These two are for one of the fan controller knobs. This one is to plug your fan controller in that is built into the case. So, and you can also do a pass-through as well, so you won't be killing the Molex port. Look at the front panel connectors for the power switch and all that. This would be your hard drive activity LED. This is your reset switch. This is your power LED. This is the power switch. And this Molex here is to power the lights for the front bezel. This SATA cable is for your eSATA. This cable is for your USB 2.0 ports on the front. These two are for the audio ports, one for HD audio and one for AC 97. And this right here is for the other controller for the fans.
Alright guys, this basically wraps it up for the video review. Now I've got to say, this case does have a lot of good features and also looks pretty sleek. Now, for this part I want to do the pros and cons, the individual scoring categories, the overall scoring, basically out of 10, and then the rest of the other things. Now, some of the pros that this case does have, that has a CPU backplate on the motherboard tray, so you can change the CPU coolers without having to take the motherboard out of the case. Now, there's a lot of room for most enthusiast grade hardware. Liquid cooling ready, has very good airflow, looks very unique, the construction is solid, and I mean, the list just goes on and on. Now, some of the things that I have a major concern with is that there's not very much room for the cables between the motherboard tray and the right side panel, because like I mentioned earlier, I literally had to hug
the case like I was making love to it to put the damn right panel back on. It's that I just can't get over how thin of a room there is for all the cables behind the motherboard tray. Now, the rubber grommets, I would definitely go without because they most often get in the way, especially when you're working with heavily braided cable. And some of the cables are just, some of the plugs are just too thick to even fit through the grommets, which will end up taking the grommets with them. And the top fans, where the water cooling pass-throughs are, do get in the way. So, now some of the things I would definitely like to see is more depth between the motherboard tray and the side panel. And also I would like to see bigger holes for the cables to pass through so the grommets would actually be very effective. And for the liquid cooling pass-throughs, I would definitely like to see that right where some of the ventilation is on the back. I hope you have enjoyed this video review. If you have any questions about this product, feel free to email me at skullabyss@gmail.com. Also, feel free to subscribe to this channel and also like this video. And I also want to mention that I now have a Facebook page, a Twitter, and a Google+. And also, if you are interested in technology and also gaming, feel free to sign up with us at the Tech Syndicate community, www.techsyndicate.com. There's a lot of awesome people on there that will be more than willing to help you, and there are also other good videos and also content. Happy holidays, people.